call you my way maker.
My way maker.
My strong tower.
My strong tower.
You made a way.
You made a way.
One more before we go. Sing. I call you my deliverer.
My deliverer.
I prince you from Unyami.
I prince you from Unyami.
You made a way.
You made a way.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
You can't always be in control of what happens on the road, but you can control the tires you ride on. Thanks to Champon tires, in testing condition, you are guaranteed of traction and grip, be it new or partly worn tire. Champon tires are the largest import and exporters of tires in the UK. Locate us all over the UK. For Wakefield, contact us on 01924 262 043. Selby, Rotherham, Hull, and Birmingham, contact us on 01709 380-615, or you can visit us at www.champontires.co.uk. Champon Tires, safe when new, safe when partly worn. Welcome back to the program. This is Starr Radio UK. Apologies to our listeners who are listening, who want to listen to us on our apps. We're experiencing some technical difficulties, and so it's nothing to do with your apps. Don't touch it at all, or your phone or anything, or your laptop or your computer. It's got nothing to do with that at all. We are experiencing some technical challenge difficulties here, and therefore the technical team is working on the system, and we will be back online just in a jiffy. But still, the program goes on. Let's go on to some of the news making the rounds here in the UK. Okay. Now, when it comes to some of the news making the rounds here in the UK today, now first and foremost, let's see. It is happening. We have our main man. Somebody said, who are you talking about? No other person than the chief Brexiteer coming in to address the general public, or so have a press conference. So we'll be seeing what he's going to say. That is Uncle Boris. He's going to be doing that. But Prince Philip's car carried across road, the Royal was shaking after being freed from his Land Rover. An eyewitness said on Thursday in the Thursday crash. It was interesting. 96 years. Is it 97? 97 is going to be 98. It's going to be 98 in June. He joined in the road and his car carried off and everything that has happened there. But well, what is going to happen? Then Custom Union will not deliver Brexit. That is what Liam Fox says. The UK could not have an independent trade policy if in a customs arrangement with the EU. And the boxer 21 killed in shooting at a pub. Tom Bell from Doncaster is described as an outstanding talent and a considerate human being. Okay, and then some other story. Black Friday steals Christmas shoppers, and then baby has hours to find new heart. Now top Germans plead with UK to stay in EU. Wow, that is an interesting one, and I'll be bringing that your way. Funerals appeal for Dambuster RAF couple, and then parents of dead toddler jailed for neglect. Grey is the new black for car buyers. Okay, now police chief husband in racial slur probe. Now pharmacists warn of medicine shortage, and the bids for shopping center to start at £1. So what bid is that? That's an interesting one, and I'll be bringing that to you as well. But with the news that is making the rounds this morning here in the UK, the Duke of Edinburgh miracle escape is what has been captured on all the newspapers here today, and we'll be bringing you more and more of that in a jiffy as it unfolds. But when it comes to the political front, the Customs Union will not deliver Brexit. Liam Fox says the UK could not have an independent trade policy if in a customs arrangement with the EU. Okay, now let me bring you details of that story. Now, that story says, Liam Fox says that staying in a permanent customs arrangement with the EU will not be delivering Brexit. The International Trade Secretary said he did not believe the UK could have an independent trade policy if it stayed in a customs union. Now, discussions between Theresa May and opposition parties are ongoing after her Brexit plan was overwhelmingly defeated in a vote earlier this week. I've got someone in the studio says it's not going to be on air, or just nodding their head, and I also nodded back in appreciation the fact that they are here. Okay, thank you very much for coming in. A number of parties have been making the case for a customs union, but Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, who wants the UK to be in a permanent customs union, has so far refused to take part in the talks until the Prime Minister rules out the prospect of leaving the EU without a deal. Mrs. May says ruling out no deal is impossible as it was not within the government's power. The UK is due to leave the EU on the 29th of March under the Article 50 process and UK's EU Withdrawal Act with or without a deal, unless the UK chooses to revoke Article 50 and continues as a member of the EU. Now, Mr. Fox, who backed leave during the referendum campaign, said the people expected the government to honor its commitment to leave the customs union and single market. They believe that when we voted to leave the EU, it was made very clear in our manifestos that was to leave the customs union and single market. He said, we have to do what we promised in our manifestos. Now, interestingly, when I see people talk about this issue this way, I ask myself that during the campaign, did we talk about that? Did they actually bring that information to voters? And did people vote based on what we know now? Or now we know better than what we knew at the time? And therefore, people are thinking, well, the only way out of this mess is a people's referendum. Now, if you're listening to me, do you back that? Or do you think that, hey, let's have a no deal after all, what? Yeah, we just jump into the abyss, cliff edge. Let's go on. Now, if we survive, praise God. If we don't and we all die, oh, we all die together. Hey, what? How would that be like? Now, if you are a worker at the Jaguar Land Rover plant, or you are working with Marks and Spencer's, which is shutting some shops, more than 40 or 30 shops, and other companies that are facing job cuts. Now, can you just imagine if the economy shrinks? Now, all these ones who will not have jobs, I mean, we know people, they continue to say, oh, there are jobs, and that's 0-hour job. Now, how can you have, how can you pay your bills when you have 0-hour job? When you know that you're going in today, you don't know whether tomorrow you will still be having the opportunity to get some work to do so that you'll be able to earn some money to pay your bills. So how does that make sense? That's why I asked the question here this morning that do you think that the best way forward is to revert to the people again? Let's have the people going back to the polls knowing what we know now. Now, if we go and now the decision comes, the final decision, well, we all decided, or majority, not that we all, majority have decided that, look, looking and knowing what we know now, we think that it is still ideal that we leave. Fine, then we all do. But you know, interestingly, when OLAYOMI MR DAN TABIRI was at the Parliament Square last Tuesday, was it Tuesday? Yes, last Tuesday, before Theresa May faced her big time Waterloo. Now, what happened was most of the people who were there protesting were not the youth. They were the, how do they call them? Is it the OPP or OPT or whatever? These are the people. So nobody says that these are people who have worked their lives and now they are gone on pension. They don't have much to do. And then they've traveled all their travels and I decide, well, now we're not going anywhere. We want out. But the problem was, again, the youth who were supposed to have gone to vote, they didn't go to vote. I mean, most of us thought that it was a done deal. Oh, look, we're not going to leave. After all, majority of people will vote against that. But it didn't happen that way. So maybe calling for a second referendum, people know what they know now. Oh, my word. There might be or must be a massive change. But this is Starr Radio UK. It is now 12 minutes. It is 12 o'clock exactly. I was going to say 12 minutes, but it's 12 o'clock exactly. We'll take a musical break. And like I said, announced earlier on, my apologies to our listeners on our main platform. That's on our apps. We are experiencing some technical. We are having some technical difficulties there. Please bear with us. It's nothing to do with your app per se, but it's got something to do with the technical system here, which the technical team are working on. So stay tuned. I'll bring you some lovely music. But remember, exactly at 12:30, we'll be having our money man, Mr. Dan Tabiri, coming your way with the no other program but the Money Hour. Stay tuned and don't touch the dial.
Ahead, weather forecast a bit nippy ahead. Beggars can't choose, but be picky instead. 9 to 5 blues, kick me, I'm dead. Dead, 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 dead. Cross my T's and dot my eyes. Stress way. Day my chest I ostracized. Do I treat you man, Robert, till you smell the ties? Me and I dream be a yaka. Cotton ties, my jalabi a tailor-made, all customized. My English straight pigeon, all bastardized. What I for do? Ignore the bastard guys. I work, they snore, I pass those guys. Thank God it's Friday, of course my mind day. Rise and shine your eye, hustle let's wait. All week long we hustle and slay. Trap the non-clays for wages and pay. Coco King in the morning, ensure that Vim day. Weekend so strong helps to shine the weekdays. Mommy say son, well God be praised. Well these days money be wild. We day some way. I bathe in faith, no bathe in apes. A basic case of faith in something great, but still from 6 to 6 with stones and bricks. I'm building a future. I hope I live to see and shit. I barely no sleep. Hit me some way. Boys are great all week. Hit me some way. Boys are living or we cheat. Hit me some way. But thank God it's Friday. Maybe Jimmy did it doom so some way. If we are born in Soto, hit me some way. My one more, my dog, hit me some way. But thank God it's Friday. Maybe Jimmy my gets mini aje. During the week I'm busy, mini adaje. But I still put in work, sick of dachi. I mean, even now before the sun sets marching. So it's 5 on Friday, any achi. Make up verbs are quite nasi. Health is wealth, I give thanks, me dasi. My use my weirdest might to buy a sassy. Why wouldn't him say, has to know the nap, has to know the sleep, has to know the slack you make wild on the streets, has to know the vex, no stress about beat. RIP, laziness, lay a week. Dance with the struggle, got a million needs. We've been up in here along like Brazilian weaves. When the weekdays filled without brilliant deeds, weekends we can enjoy what resilience breeds. I bathe in faith, not base with snakes. A basic case of me and fake know that relates. From 6 to 6 with stones and bricks, build a future risque, shine with stone and flicks. I barely no sleep, hit me some way. Boys are great all week, hit me some way. Boys are living or we cheat, hit me some way. But thank God it's Friday, maybe Jimmy did it doom so some way. If we are born in Soto, hit me some way. My woman boy, my dog, hit me some way. But thank God it's Friday, maybe Jimmy see. Bugger my Emre, some way. Girls are bread, no be boys bed. Some way, my you be on my head. Some way, thank God it's Friday. Ha, bugger my Emre. Some way, girls are bread, no be boys bed. Some way, my you be on my head. Some way, thank God it's Friday. Let's be how we go do am. Me say, driving in a storm, I can't see shit. All week long, sink or swim, that's it. Staring at the clock, doesn't move, that's a tick. Time moves slow, it's when you need it to be quick. Driving in a storm, how I fit, see ahead. Weather forecast a bit nippy ahead. Beggars can't choose, but be picky instead. 9 to 5 blues, kick me, I'm dead. Driving in a storm, how I fit, see ahead. Weather forecast a bit nippy ahead. Beggars can't choose, but be picky instead. 9 to 5 blues, kick me, I'm dead. I barely no sleep, hit me some way. Boys are great all week, hit me some way. Boys are living or we cheat. Some way, but thank God it's Friday. Maybe Jimmy some way, he be some way, he be some way, maybe Jimmy. I dodge it, but I still put in work, sick of dodging. I'm even out before the sun sets marching. So it's 5 on Friday, any achi. Make up verbs are quite nasi. Health is wealth, I give thanks, me dasi. My use my weirdest might to buy a sassy. Why wouldn't him say, has to know the nap, has to know the sleep, has to know the slack you make wild on the streets, has to know the vex, no stress about beat. RIP, laziness, lay a week. Dance with the struggle, got a million needs. We've been up in here along like Brazilian weaves. When the weekdays filled without brilliant deeds, weekends we can enjoy what resilience breeds. I bathe in faith, not base with snakes. The basic case of me and fake know that relates. From 6 to 6, we stone some bricks, build a future risque, Sharon Stone and flicks. I barely no sleep, he be some way, boys I bread all week, he be some way, brothers are living no be cheap, he be some way, but thank God it's Friday, maybe Jimmy need did a doom so, some way, if we are born in Soto, he be some way, my woman boy, my dog, he be some way, but thank God it's Friday, maybe Jimmy need sleep. Bug on my Emre, some way, girls are bread, no be boys back, some way, my you be on my head, some way, thank God it's Friday, ha, bug on my Emre, some way, girls are bread, no be boys back, some way, my you be on my head, some way, thank God it's Friday, let's be how we go do it. Me say, driving in a storm, I can't see shit. All week long, sink or swim, that's it. Staring at the clock, doesn't move, does it tick? Time moves slowest when you need it to be quick. Driving in a storm, how I fit, see ahead. Weather forecast a bit nippy ahead. Beggars can't choose, but be picky instead. 95 blues, kick me, I'm dead. Driving in a storm, how I fit, see ahead. Weather forecast a bit nippy ahead. Beggars can't choose, but be picky instead. 95 blues, kick me, I'm dead. I barely no sleep, hit me some way. Boys I bread all week, hit me some way. Boys are living no be cheap, hit me some way, but thank God it's Friday. Maybe Jimmy need some way, be. He be some way, be. He be some way, be. Maybe Jimmy need.
You can't always be in control of what happens on the road, but you can control the tires you ride on. Thanks to Champon tires, in testing condition, you are guaranteed of traction and grip, be it new or partly worn tire. Champon tires are the largest import and exporters of tires in the UK. Locate us all over the UK. For Wakefield, contact us on 01924 262 043. Selby, Rotherham, Hull, and Birmingham, contact us on 01709 380-615, or you can visit us at www.champontires.co.uk. Champon Tires, safe when new, safe when partly worn.
Hello, good people. I'm back again, and this time it's about Mama's Choice Fufu Mix. It comes in 2 flavors, and it contains essential minerals and vitamins. It's gluten-free. You can grab one from the nearest Afro-Caribbean shop or the corner shop next to you. Insist it's Mama's Choice. It's certified by both the US and the UK Food Standard Board. Grab one for yourself today. Mama's Choice. Ubedisa Charlie.
You are listening to Starr Radio Morning Show.
Welcome back to the program, and my apologies once again to all our listeners from across the globe. Those of you trying to listen to us via our apps, we are experiencing some technical challenges there, but I want you to understand that the technical team is working briskly on it, and we will solve that out, and we'll be live on our apps. But wherever you are, stay tuned, don't go away. It is the Friday edition of the morning show. In the next 22 minutes, I'll be bringing you Mr. Dan Tabiri. Today, we'll be having a look at what? We'll be having a look at self-assessment, self-tax assessment, okay? Yeah, we know that January is the time that you have to make sure you sort that bits out, and it's going to happen live. It's going to happen live. So wherever you are, make sure you stay tuned and continue to listen to us there. But this is Starr Radio UK. Don't go away. It is the Friday edition of the morning show. Now, moving on to some of the other stories making the rounds today. In the UK final one, before we move on, top Germans are pleading with the UK to stay in. Now, the story says leading German figures have written to the UK asking it to stay in the EU. The letter published in the Times is signed by 31 people, including the leader of the Christian Democratic Union and likely successor of Angela Merkel, and Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer, and former Arsenal goalkeeper Jens Lehmann. Okay, they cited post-work pints and pantomime as beloved British habits, but the UK's role in post-war Europe is the focus of the signatories calling for Britain to stay. Now, without your great nation, this continent will not be what it is today, they wrote. Okay, well, that is the more reason why they are thinking that they want to leave. The letter, also signed by the chief executive of Airbus, Thomas Enders, and punk singer Campino, said the UK had helped define the European Union as a community of freedom and prosperity. Now, after the horrors of the Second World War, Britain did not give up on us. It continued. It has welcomed Germany back as a sovereign nation and European power, and this we as Germans have not forgotten, and we are grateful. The signatory said that they respect the choice of British people who want to leave the EU, and if the country wants to leave for good, it will always have friends in Germany and Europe. But they said the choice was not irreversible, and our door will always remain open. Well, so what is the way forward? Do we listen to them, or do we say, yeah, to hell with you, whatever you think? We're still going to be going on and doing whatever we want. How is it going to be, and what is it going to be? I want to have your take on that. Now, moving on to some other stories making the rounds in the world today, leaving all the Brexit, which you know has been tops. Now, Australia boils in record-breaking heat. Now, whilst Australia was experiencing that, we had Europe that was experiencing torrential snow. Okay, but so what is happening? Is it what the El Nino weather has brought about, or is it just one of those things? Now, outcry over Trump obstruction allegation. Democrats say they will investigate a report that Mr. Trump instructed his ex-lawyer to lie to Congress. So now I think the thing is tumbling, it's rolling, and it's coming. What is going to come? I swam with world's biggest great white shark. That is what Kimberly Jeffries has also said. Wife of ex-Interpol chief seeks asylum. Tesla cuts jobs as cars too expensive. Tesla cars. Now, they've cut jobs as their cars are too expensive. So people cannot afford to buy them. Somebody will say, then downgrade and do ones that people can buy. Well, those are some of the stories making the rounds there. Now let's go to the Latin America or the Caribbean area. And let me say good morning to Mr. Dave West and Mr. Mike Dillon, who brings you the Caribbean Focus program every Tuesday from 1 o'clock. So make sure this Tuesday, coming Tuesday, he will be here in the house bringing you that program. Make sure you tune in to listen. Now, Colombian car bomb attack leaves 20 dead. Now, no group has said it was behind the explosion, which injured dozens more outside a police academy. And the new migrant caravan crosses Guatemala. There's another migrant caravan that is heading towards the U.S. Hundreds of migrants who left Honduras on Tuesday on their way to U.S. have reached Guatemala City. And El Chapo paid $100 million bribe to ex-president. As witness accuses Enrique Pereira Nieto of taking $100 million bribe from drug trafficker in October 2012. Now, Rihanna takes father to court over brand, and world's loneliest frog gets a date. Well, that is one of those trivia issues that we normally want to talk about. Now, Carlos Acosta named as ballet director. Those are some of the news making the rounds there. But let's come to Africa. It's now 12:15, exactly at 12:30. We'll be having Mr. Dan Tabiri, who will be joining us on the Morning Hour. Stay tuned. Don't touch the dial. Now, doctor and teen killed in Sudan protests. Government forces allegedly fired directly at demonstrators demanding the president's resignation. And then, internet blackout in Zimbabwe amid crackdown. African Union concerned over DR Congo vote. But what are they going to do, or what can they do? Are they just one of those toothless bulldogs who cannot do much about? Yeah. And then from Ghana, we have a NAS saying we get death threats on a daily basis. But for it to be carried out like it was carried out on no other person than Ahmed is quite a worrying one. We'll be bringing you more on that in a jiffy. More on that in a jiffy. So let me bring you this story first. A doctor and a 16-year-old have been killed in Sudan amid demonstration against President Omar al-Bashir. Both were shot in the head by state forces who were firing directly on demonstrators, a member of the Sudan Doctors Syndicate said. Now, 9 other demonstrators were reportedly wounded in the clashes as protesters staged a sit-in at a hospital in the capital, Khartoum. It marks the 5th week of anti-government protests. Now, since the beginning, the security forces have responded with excessive use of power and with live ammunition, Dr. Ahmed Farid said. The doctor who died had over 14 live bullets in his body, he added. Now, protesters have gathered outside the Royal Care International Hospital in the Bern district of the capital for a sit-in. Activists online said security forces used tear gas to disperse the crowd and carried out mass arrests. An opposition spokesman told the AFP news agency that a 3rd person was killed in protests on Thursday. Now, Reuters news agency, meanwhile, reports government forces fired live rounds at the thousands of people gathering to mourn one of the dead. 16 minutes past the top of the hour is the time. Starr Radio UK is the station, the morning show, the program. I'm the one and only Archie. Stay tuned and don't touch the dial. Now, when it comes to the African continent, once again, we have the DR Congo election result that is causing so much unrest. At the moment, the African Union is urging DR Congo to delay final election results. Now, the African Union says there are serious doubts about the outcome of the elections in Democratic Republic of Congo and has called for the final results to be suspended. Now, those figures gave victory to one opposition candidate, Felix Tshisekedi, but another opponent of the current administration insists he won. The supporters of Martin Fayulu says Mr. Tshisekedi made a power-sharing deal with outgoing President Joseph Kabila. Now, Mr. Tshisekedi's team denies this. The Constitutional Court is expected to rule within the next few days on a legal challenge to the results. Now, it says on Friday, the country's government rejected the AU's call to postpone the announcement. The court is the independent both of us and the African Union government spokesman Lambert Mende said the AFP news agency reports. I don't think it is the business of the government or even the African Union to tell the court what it should do. A number of AU heads of states and government met in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, on Thursday to discuss the deeply disputed 30th December vote. Now, there was serious doubt on the conformity of the provisional results as proclaimed by the National Independent Electoral Commission with the votes cast, their statement says. Accordingly, the heads of states and government called for the suspension of the proclamation of the final results of the election. But the problem is, will the authorities there hearken to that, or just think, call it a bluff and just go on? This is Starr Radio UK. It is the morning show. It is a Friday edition, and it is with me, the one and only Archie. You stay tuned, and I beg you, don't touch the dial.
Your favorite Afro-Caribbean radio station in the UK.
Now, when it comes to the Nigerian polls that will be taking place, we have OLAYOMI MR DAN TABIRI bringing us updates from that a moment ago, about an hour ago earlier on. And Nigeria 2019 presidential poll, 72 aspirants on ballot. Now, we're going to be having 72 of them. My concern has always been Are they going to be a merger? Because in unity there is strength. You want to fight a strong person. If there's lots of you, I bet you can actually fight them. Have you seen most of us who watch the documentary channels, when you watch the documentary channel where you have maybe lions going to try to attack an elephant, or maybe what do you call it? I've forgotten the name, but this massive bulls. Then you see that it is, if they come singly or singularly or independently, they are, the bulls will use their horns to, destroy them utterly. But when they come, they come in unity. This one there, working together. They are able to bring the big bull down, or the elephant down, because most of them, they will all be going on biting and biting and biting. But what do you think these smaller parties are doing? 72 parties on the ballot. Shit. Well, we'll see what happens on that front. But it's now 10 minutes to the top of the hour, and an African-led solution in DRC, AU wants Seni to suspend announcement of final results. Ethiopia revises refugee law to allow more inclusion. And yes, a recap of Zimbabwe's 3-day deadly protest is going on and on and on. Ethiopia naps over 800 returnee OLF fighters disturbing Oromla. Now, Ethiopia fuel squeeze and Djibouti continued economic importance. Those are some of the stories making the rounds on the African continent. My apologies once again to all our Astound listeners. Our apologies to you. We're having a bit of technical challenge or interference on our apps at the moment, so you can only listen to us or watch us live via our Facebook page, our YouTube, and Periscope, all the smart means of you listening to us. Please do so. Now let's come to the story that broke yesterday or the day before yesterday, and yesterday was making the rounds and still is making the rounds. That's pertaining to the investigative journalist who has been murdered, Ahmed's killing, and the police are saying we will not shield anybody. That's what they are saying. True or false? Now, Ahmed's killing allowed police time to work. That's what Enin is saying. The president of the Kofi Annan Security Foundation, Mr. Enin, is saying that the Ahmed killing, which should allow police to do their necessary investigation into that. And I have no reason to kill irrelevant Ahmed. That's what Kenny Japan is saying. Now, if I had the privilege, I would have brought you what he said, a soundbite of what he said earlier on pertaining to the fact that he wanted people to beat Ahmed up because he was thinking that he is the one who goes on to do all sorts unraveling and everything, and then you will see what his boss, that is Anas, was going to do. However, what has happened now seems to be backtracking from what has happened, and he is saying that, look, I have no reason to kill irrelevant Ahmed. That is what Ken Ejapon is saying. Let's take a commercial tune and don't. You can't always be in control of what happens on the road, but you can control the tires you ride on. Thanks to Champon Tires, in testing condition, you are guaranteed of traction and grip, be it new or partly worn tires. Champon Tires are the largest import and exporters of tires in the UK. Locate us all over the UK. For Wakefield, contact us on 01924 262 043. Selby, Rotherham, Hull, and Birmingham, contact us on 01709 380-615, or you can visit us at www.champontires.co.uk. Champon Tires, safe when new, safe when partly worn.
Hello, good people. I'm back again, and this time it's about Mama's Choice Fufu Mix. It comes in 2 flavors, and it contains essential minerals and vitamins. It's gluten-free. You can grab one from the nearest Afro-Caribbean shop or the corner shop next to you. Insist it's Mama's Choice. It's certified by both the US and the UK Food Standard Boards. Grab one for yourself today. Mama's Choice. Ubedisa Charlie.
you've had an accident in the last 3 years, that was not your fault. Get in touch with London Accident Claims Limited. It could be a motor accident or a workplace injury. You could be entitled to compensation. Just one call to our specialist team will take care of everything. For minicab drivers with PCOs, there is even better news. We provide you with a replacement vehicle. Call us on 0800-032-6798 or 0208-665-7667 to start your claims with London Accident Claims Limited. London Accident Claims Limited, a partner you can trust. Welcome back to the program. This is Starr Radio UK. In the next 5 minutes, we'll be having Mr. Dan Tabiri on. And today we are doing or having a look at self-assessment tax returns. What do you think? But once again, let me apologize to our listeners who listen to us on our apps. There's a bit of a technical challenge going on, but our technical team is working seriously on it, and we will be back on that. But you can listen to me via our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and all the other platforms. So in the next 4 minutes, I'll be bringing the first session of the program to a close, and then we'll be joining Mr. Dan Tabiri on the self-assessment tax return. Now, quickly, let's see what the security services in Ghana are saying. Now, Ahmed Scaling, I will not shield anybody what the police said. The Director of Police Affairs for the Ghana Police Service, ACP David Eklu, has promised that anybody found culpable in the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Hussein will be punished. Now, according to him, the police has begun investigation and must be allowed time to gather enough evidence to aid the arrest of the perpetrators. Now, Hussein Sule, who worked closely with ace investigative journalist Anas Aramiyao Anas, was killed Wednesday night by unknown gunmen whilst he drove home. Now, according to the police, he was shot 3 times, twice in the chest and another in the neck, dying instantly. The private investigative firm Tiger Eye PI, where Hussein Sule worked as an undercover journalist until his assassination, said it was terribly devastated by the incident but remained resolute in uncovering wrongdoing in society. He said, in a quote, "We at Tiger Eye PI are terribly devastated by the dastardly act but remain unshaken in our resolve to pursue nation records and make corruption a high-risk activity in the country," said Tiger Eye PI. Went further to say Hussein Sule's assassination comes months after his picture was published on national TV by a member of parliament of the governing New Patriotic Party, Kennedy Ajapon, in a bid to discredit an investigative masterpiece dubbed #12 on African football by ace investigative journalist Anas Aramiyao Anas. Now, Mr. Ajapon went further to call on the public to attack as he was ready to face the consequences. So lo and behold, now that he's been attacked, now that he's been killed, murdered, however we want to put it, why should he not be brought in to face the full rigors of the law? And that's where he's saying he had nothing or what? No interest in killing him. Now, the Ghana Police Service has interrogated a member of the parliament for Asen Central, Kennedy, Japan, over the gruesome murder of an undercover journalist with a Tiger Eye, PI Ahmed Hussein Sule. It comes on the back of calls by the lawyer of the investigative body, Kisi Ajabin, for the MP to be invited over some reckless comments he made. Now, which, according to the lawyer, makes Mr. Japan liable. Now, further understands the brokers that the police has also requested a full recording of the video circulating on social media, which had the MP calling for the slain undercover journalist to be beaten from Net 2 TV. But do you think it was a wise thing to say? Well, whatever the situation is, this is Starr Radio UK. This is the morning show, and it's now 12:29. We'll just take a break, and once we come back, we'll have Mr. Dan Tabiri on the show. So you stay tuned whilst I bring you some lovely, somebody say, jubbly song. Okay? And that is Forget Them by Manifest. Forget Them by Manifest. Stay tuned and don't touch the dial.
though. Charlie, what they happen? Kill beats and the beats manifest on that rapping.
Sugar, manifest. What's wrong with you? You need to get on the grind, man. Dot. So then, man.
Whoa, being what you did both for. What I saw in your eyes and I saw. Bugger chuck papa, make a suck shocker. And yo, that Charlie going to go down. We'll say, Brabe Kumosma. And pre, Kusi, now one go bra. Everything I want, money or woman, and I get them. If I feel lucky, love to grab, makes me a good job. This song go vex you, but and from home, cry. Forget them, and from home, cry. Forget them, and from home, cry. This song go vex you, and from home, cry. Charlie, forget them. Draw my sword and sketch them. Call my dear, my best friend. Put the stamp on the envelope, address them. That be small pickings, a chicken to a denchem. When I go slow, now so I no pentem. We so ball, it's sick for a mantem. Any assem, who I was them. With the kill beats and give the streets anthem. Send me try me shots and I'm a train me juts. It be on my oh Charlie Comots, Kokon Seni. Always in hard the cuts, I shock. Say they get to call the pot black. I've nailed this, but I hammer the last two bars. Lala like they join me. Bad man tins, tell them bow to a king. Brock up not dark when you give me this vein. Me say, Brabe Kumosma. And pre, Kusi, now one go bra. Everything I want, money or woman, I get them. If I feel lucky, love to cry, makes me a good job. This song go vex you, but and from home, cry. Forget them, and from home, cry. Forget them, and from home, cry. This song go vex you, and from home,
Yeah, and we know before. I don't know what we're going to be talking about today, but before we go on anything, what advice, just a quick one, would you give to listeners who actually use the cards properly during the festivities? What are you going to tell them on that?
Well, I believe the damage has been done in terms of the credit cards already. But if you find yourself in a position where you have this kind of debt, credit card debt is one of the worst that you could have because of the charges that you have to pay. So if you have any debt at all, your credit card debt should be your priority of all your debt to want to try and pay it off as soon as possible. So that is number one. If your credit rating is good and you'll be able to, if you have another credit card or you have credit somewhere that you can take, let's say on another credit card. Most of the credit card companies do interest-free payments.
Yeah.
So if you transfer balances from one card to the other, you can transfer a whole lot of your debt onto another card, and you don't have to pay any interest. For sometimes they do it as much as 2-3 years. So people would have to start, looking to take advantage of this. And then it will mean that any payments that you make every month would actually go to reduce the balance of your credit card and not just pay the interest.
Okay. Well, yes. Go on, sir.
Yeah. So that's the key really to deal with credit cards at this moment.
Okay.
Prioritize paying off your credit card. If you have the facility or the opportunity to transfer your credit card balance onto another card where you have interest-free periods, then do that so that your payments effectively reduce your liabilities, and you're not just paying the interest of every month. It's actually reducing the balance on the debt.
Okay. Well, that is for your information, listeners, wherever you are. But it is the Money Hour with our money man himself, Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of GIL Accountancy Services, for all your accounting issues. Oh my goodness, whatever it is, just get in touch with him because he will make sure he helps you deal with it. So, Mr. Tabiri, what are we looking at this afternoon, sir?
This afternoon, well, we are in January, and we all know January is a month for tax returns.
Yes.
So I just want to, I think we've done a session on self-assessment, but I think it's appropriate that we remind people what the self-assessment tax return is all about, and also if people have forgotten to file their tax returns, they should know that they need to do so by 31st of January.
Okay. Okay.
So today we'll be talking about self-assessment tax returns.
Self-assessment tax returns. Okay. All right. So go on, sir. What is self-assessment tax returns? Somebody is doing has got a full-time job. Is not doing any agency stuff. Does the person need to do any self-assessment or?
Right. Okay. Well, the self-assessment system. Self-assessment is a system used by HMRC to collect income tax. So for people who have regular jobs, that is in employment, and that is only their source of income, they may not be required to file a tax return.
Okay.
Usually, tax returns are required from self-employed people or any other person who has income that has not been taxed at source.
Okay.
For people who are employed, sometimes HMRC might require you to file a tax return if, for example, you have multiple employments, and to be able to assess, what your correct tax should be. In the past, HMRC will send you a tax return to complete.
Okay.
So these are the instances where one will be required to complete a tax return. Also, if you believe that you perhaps may have paid too much tax in a tax year, you can voluntarily opt to file a tax return, and through that you'll be able to reclaim the tax back that HMRC owe you. To
reclaim the tax back? That is an interesting point. We will come to that. Because who doesn't want money? Everybody wants money. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so go on, sir.
So you must send a tax return in a tax year, and we know the tax year for the UK is the 6th of April up to the 5th of April. So if you are a self-employed trader and earned more than £1,000 in a tax year, if you earn less than £1,000, you don't need to bother. But if you earn more than £1,000, then you need to submit a tax return.
If you earn more than £1,000?
More than £1,000, yes.
Okay.
If it's less than £1,000, you can still send a tax return, but you will not get a penalty if you don't submit a tax return if you earn less than £1,000 in the whole year. Okay.
Now can I ask the question quickly then? Now, assuming somebody is in a full-time job, has got a regular income, now has got other companies, maybe he's a director of some other company that is not profit, it's not making any profit. Now, do these individuals still have to file self-assessment tax returns?
No.
No. Okay.
No. Being a director does not necessarily require you to submit a tax return.
Okay.
You only have to submit a tax return if you are receiving dividends from the company.
Okay.
That should be declared, because the dividend is not taxed at source.
Okay. Okay.
So if the company has not made any profit, and therefore you have not received any dividends, then you do not require to file a tax return. However, remember that HMRC might not know this information, so they might send you a tax return anyway.
Okay.
And so if you are sent a tax return, then you are required to complete one and send it back.
Okay. If they send you one, then you are required to do that.
You have to. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So go on, sir.
Yes. So we've looked at self-employed. Also, if you are a partner in a business partnership, you would need to file a tax return. If you are a landlord, you have income that is you coming out of your renting out your property, you are required to file a tax return. For those who earn tips and commissions, waitresses and all other kind of incomes, or jobs where you earn tips and commissions, you are required to file a tax return to declare these. Yeah. Also, income from sales.
Just a quick one there. Somebody just posted a question there. When we talked about tips and commissions, they are saying that what if the tips and commissions are not documented? So somebody comes to the restaurant and then just put some tips or maybe in one of their bowls or something. So it's not documented. It didn't go through anything. Do they still have to declare that?
Well, it has to be documented. That's just the key.
Wow.
So not documenting it does not mean that you cannot account for your taxes. That's why it has to be documented.
Okay.
It has to be documented, yeah.
All right then. Go on, sir.
Yeah, so income from savings, investments, and dividends. Dividends we've mentioned already. If you have income from savings and investments, some of these have been taxed, some may not have been taxed. So you need to declare them. Also, any foreign income, if you are a taxable person or resident in the UK for tax purposes, and you have income from abroad, you need to declare that in your tax return every year.
Okay. I've said okay several times. What if you also send money out? How does that also come in?
Well, if you send money out, you sending money out as what? What are you sending money out as?
Maybe I've got my parents there, and then I need to I remit something to them. So that's in support of them. Do I get any rebate or anything on my tax?
Unfortunately, no, because it's not a business expense.
Oh, okay.
Meeting your parents is a personal expense,
Okay.
And it's not a relevant business expense.
Okay.
And so therefore, you don't get a tax deduction for that.
Oh, all right. Okay. So go on, sir.
Yeah. So if you are required to submit a tax return, you would need to, the tax year, as we've said, is the 5th of April every year. By the latest, by the 5th of October, the year after the relevant tax year, you are required to register with HMRC for self-assessment.
Okay.
So it is your responsibility to tell HMRC that you have income that needs to be assessed through your tax return. And therefore, you're asking them to register you for self-assessment so you can file your tax returns. And the deadlines for filing tax returns. At the moment, you can file paper tax returns to HMRC. Yeah. And the deadline for filing paper tax returns is midnight, the 31st of October 2000. So for 2017, 2018, it's 31st of October 2018.
Okay.
If you send a paper tax return after the 31st of October, you would get a penalty, £100 penalty. For those who would file, most people file their tax returns now online. So if you're filing your tax return online, you have up to midnight, the 31st of January. So for tax returns 2017, 2018, the deadline for filing these is the midnight, 31st of January 2019. Okay. That's why you find a lot of accountants in January scrambling around all the time. Okay. So these are the deadlines for filing a tax return. If you have any tax to pay, there's a deadline for paying the tax, and that is also the 31st of January 2019, same date as the deadline for the tax return.
Okay, so in fairness, you need to submit it before that time so that you can pay whatever before the 31st, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. If you have tax to pay and you want HMRC to collect that tax through your employment income. You have a tax liability arising from your tax return, but you may not have the money, or you do not want to pay all the money upfront. But you want the money to be collected through your tax return. Sorry, through your tax code, your employment income. Then you need to submit your tax return online by the 30th of December. So those are the deadlines that we have.
Okay, but are they going to take it in installments, or are they going to take it as one bulk?
They are going to take it. It has to be taken. Everything must be paid up by 31st of January.
Oh, okay. So it's going to be a bulk. But if somebody's not got the money, then I think that is there a chance that they can negotiate for maybe a installment payment?
Of course. Of course. If you call HMRC and ask for time to pay, and you want to perhaps enter into an arrangement to make this payment, HMRC is usually more receptive to doing this.
Another question that is coming through, the person is saying that I have he said in his house, he's rented a room out. It's not documented, so he's just rented one room out. Does he have to also apply for, what do you call it, to the HMRC to pay, to do a self-assessment there as well?
Yes, he's getting rental income. It's his or her own house. There are some tax reliefs I can see that she can take that will reduce or minimize any tax liabilities. But definitely, yes, she's earning income from her home, and she will need to register to file a self-assessment.
Okay, interesting. Let me say good afternoon to Osasu Adodo. Wherever you are, thank you very much for joining us as well. But if you're watching us live, it is now 12:51 from the House of London. It is the Friday edition of the morning show, and it's now time for the Money Hour, and we have our Money Man on. It comes your way every Friday from 12:30 onwards. So this afternoon we have Mr. Dan Tabiri, who's joined us, and we are looking at self-assessment tax returns, filing of that, and we are going on that. But Mr. Tabiri, please proceed. Let me put it that way.
Right. So that is the filing side of the tax return. Now, if you fail to meet these deadlines, you get automatic penalties.
Okay.
If you miss your filing deadline by 3 months, you would get a penalty of £100
for 3 months.
If you miss it, so let's say you miss it in January, but you don't file by the 30th of April, you still haven't filed it. If you file it between the 31st of January and the 30th of April, you will only have the £100 penalty to pay.
Oh, okay.
But if after that you still haven't filed it, then daily penalties will start to kick in. I think it's about £10 a day.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that can mount up a lot. So after 6 months, people now get, notification penalties that they have £750 to pay.
You don't have the money, and they increase it.
So when those brown envelopes come through the door, please open them, see what's inside. If you can't deal with them, get help to let somebody sort them out.
Okay.
Before the penalties mount up.
Okay.
HMRC says you can appeal against these penalties if you have a reasonable excuse. Now, they don't tell us what that reasonable excuse is, but what they tell us is that it must be an exceptional circumstance, and it is up to their discretion as to whether they cancel the penalty or not.
Okay.
And some of these would be, for example, if your partner or a close relative died shortly before the tax return deadline or tax return or payment deadline. They might be able to listen. If you, for example, had an unexpected stay in the hospital that prevented you from dealing with your tax affairs, If you had a serious or life-threatening illness, then they might consider cancelling the penalty.
Okay.
Also, if your computer or software failed just before you were preparing your online tax return, or if there are service issues with the HMRC online services, so if the fault was with them, they might be able to consider that.
But on that, please, on that, where if they have a fault on their system, now how do you tell them that, look, it was the day that you had the fault on your system that caused me not to do that? Do you have to take a picture of it, or do you have to notify them or take note of those events?
Well, if you can, you would have to take evidence for yourself.
Okay.
But in such situations, HMRC themselves will be aware.
Well, okay.
And what they would normally, I would expect them to do is to exercise a blanket cancellation of all the penalties that they issue.
Okay.
But it has been rare. I've not seen come across a situation where that has happened. And so the responsibility is on you. If you have a penalty and you think that the system was faulty, and that prevented you from filing your tax return, then you have to get your evidence together and make an appeal.
Okay. All right, sir. Yeah, please go on.
And also other emergencies such as fire, flood, or theft maybe prevented you from completing your tax return. These are some of the exceptional cases